In this episode, what we're going to be discussing is student loans. Are they worth it? Or is it worth going down an avenue? We will discuss that. And by the end of this video, you will have a clear understanding, hopefully, of which avenue is best for you. You had a student loan when you were quite young. Fire away.
Yeah, so I went down a path. I went to school, then I went to higher education, university, and at the end of that, I had a debt of student loans. So it only took me about 2 years because I paid back.
How much was your debt?
$50,000 to $60,000. That's it. So
A lot of money.
a lot of money, but yeah, in those days in Australia anyway, it didn't cost as much as it does now.
Yeah.
And overseas, completely, well, some of them in America, it's extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Probably $500,000 easy.
Yes.
So it took me only a couple of years to pay it back. Why? Because I was quite aggressive in paying it back. I don't like paying any interest.
Yes.
So I was living at home at the time. I made it my business to pay it back as soon as possible because I had no real expenditure
Yep.
for it. Other people, it's taken them many years to pay back, and they paid interest upon that. And interest at the time when I was at university or just thereafter, I think it was about 14-15%. Quite high.
Really?
I believe so. So,
Wow.
in my opinion, that's the waste of money to paying for the privilege of that debt.
But it was the only way that you could actually get the education.
Correct.
Yep. Correct. Well,
Correct. So
it was a necessity.
it was a necessity.
Was it a want?
No,
It's a need.
no, definitely I don't ever want to pay for anything. So no, it was most definitely it was a necessity. I'm very grateful for it because I was educated. I went down a path. I secured a job at a quite prestigious investment bank, and thereafter moved on, etc. So for me, it worked. For others, there's other ways to go about it. They don't necessarily undertake a formal higher education like university. They may go to TAFE, for example.
Yeah. A technical school.
Technical school. Now tell me about your story, Ben. So did you have a HECS debt straight out of school?
No. I went to a technical school.
Okay.
So, and tech schools here in Australia are relatively cheap, very cheap.
If not free.
Yeah, very much so.
Yes.
And so I didn't have that, but it's a very different way of life. So you had university your first 4 years for your first degree, and then I was working. I was making an income my first 4 years.
So then at age 21 in comparison,
Yes.
I had debt
Yes.
and minimal income, whereas you had accumulated a sizable asset base
Yes.
and zero debt.
Yes. But I had to work very hard, meaning my days consisted of minimum 12 hours of work up to 14 hours, not a problem.
So it begs the question, age 40 or 45, if we were to look back, now I'm not using you as an example, but someone, because it's not you, but someone who is working as a trade at age 45 or someone who's working in a profession,
You can't do it.
as in,
It's too hard. So,
the body.
oh, very much so. And the mind, because I went to trade school and I was working very long hours. I was paid a lot of money. Okay, that was the only reason why I did it. But by the time I was 28, I burnt out.
Yes.
So at 28 years old, I'm in my prime, I'm earning big bucks, and I burnt out. And I burnt out meaning I couldn't work. My whole body went into meltdown mode, and I was off work for weeks. And my employer realised what happened, and they said, when you're okay, come back. And then when I went back, I only lasted a few months, and I resigned. Because it had happened. You don't want to be at 28 and you burn out. It's a very interesting scenario, but it was very intensive.
Yes, it's better off. We can't just look at this financially. We have to look at this as a whole of scenarios, no, physically, mentally.
It's a holistic view.
Correct. So age 45 or 50, if you're in the trade, if you can get to still being in trade at age 50, which is in itself proper difficult, there, or in a profession, whatever the profession is, white collar profession that is, at age 50, it's a question.
Yeah, definitely. And so I made the transition from when I was 33 to white collar, if that makes sense. So, so from the age of 33, I went back to uni. That's what happened. So I worked during the day and I studied at night. And the firm I was in, I was the only one doing that. Most people couldn't be bothered furthering their education, but I did. That was a priority for me.
Yes.
As soon as I went into property.
Yep.
Okay, so as soon as I went in, bam, I was at night school. And it changed everything for me in a very, very positive. So it just changed because I left school very young. So I left school at 15 and a half. Okay, so if you've seen our other episodes, I was out of school at 15 and a half. Pretty much could have bought my first, had a 50% deposit for my first house when I was 18 and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm burnt it out at 28. So it was okay. So 33, I got into the property grind in sales.
Yes.
Okay, and for the first, I think, 3 years in property, I didn't make a cent. I really didn't.
Yeah.
And so, but it wasn't until after the first, so in the fourth year, that's when it started to work for me. And then the heavens opened up. But it took a long time and a lot of pain, no money. But I was still at school at night. Is education important? It's paramount.
Because you can take education into anywhere and you can apply it to every scenario.
Well, you definitely can. And education, it really gives you,
Options.
yeah, but a job for life. Because once if you've educated yourself, and no one's going to hand it to you on a silver platter, we can guarantee that you've got to pay the price financially and your time. Because time, it's the most expensive commodity that there is, your time, any which way you look at it. So it's a case of, if you can pull the two together, then you can be in your older age, call it 50 plus or whatever the case may be, and doing something when you're talking to a camera now. Helping people, trying to steer them in the right direction, because we've already done this. We know the pitfalls and the benefits, but from education, there's only benefits. There's nothing bad about education, though. The only thing bad about education is if you don't educate yourself.
Sure.
And it's not anybody else's fault. Oh, I've had a tough upbringing and all the rest. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so did I.
But on that, today it's easier to access education than it was previously. Hard to, with an internet, yes, and just type in anything, get educated.
Well, even for governments as well, because governments have realised education, it is so important, which it is. And so they're lowering fees, they're lowering the bars, so actually for people to actually say they can apply to universities and actually learn, or apply for a secondary, another college for a diploma, a certificate. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you keep learning. That's the key.
Yes, and it doesn't have to cost. There's a lot of free education. It's hours, billions of hours of education on the internet.
Yeah, definitely. So it boils back down to student loan debt.
It's a good thing. Yes.
Okay. Well, then maybe in another episode, we can elaborate on student debt, because it's debt.
Good debt, bad debt. This is good debt.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. I hope you've learned something.
Please subscribe.
Yep. Give us a tip, and we'll see you next time.